Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and continuing on, reviewing some of my all-time favorite films, and that's right, you read the title, you know exactly what I'm reviewing next, and yes, definitely, this would be considered in my top favorite movies, because, well, I mean, of course, I love comedy films, and this kind of comedy film, and yeah, because I've always meant to watch this movie. I had a feeling, even before I saw this movie, that more than likely, this probably would be in my list of some of my all-time favorite movies, and pretty sure, yeah, I'm right. I was right, yeah. I'm glad to have, finally seen this movie, and how I predicted that, yeah, this would be one of my favorite movies, in my list of favorite movies, etc. Yeah. And, yeah, to some people, how they would feel about this, I think, yeah, as of now, but, just something about this comedy film, it has a charm to it, and especially with whom stars in this film. And as I also teased in describing this, from Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and Robert Downey Jr., but more than those three. Yeah, because a lot of good familiar faces that star in this movie, some that have big roles, minor roles, and they just pop up here and there, That's right, guys. I am finally reviewing from 2008, Tropic Thunder. Yes, Tropic Thunder. Oh boy. Yeah, like I said, this is a very interesting, enjoyable comedy film about these group of actors who are struggling hard to deal with actors and such, and they're hard for them to focus on this war movie, but what would happen to them next, and they would find themselves into some serious, legit crap, no longer doing a movie, they're in for something, It's amazing. Everything from beginning to end. It's mind-blowing, this movie, with what Ben Stiller brought to this movie. Because, yeah, he was one of the writers, producers, and most notably, well, two most notable things, starring and directing this movie. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, because, again, I knew that when I first would watch this movie, and here's the thing, I was aware of this movie before, and when, learning, especially, most notably, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in this, his Oscar-nominated performance in Tropic Thunder, unfortunately, he lost that Oscar win to the late Heath Ledger for, well, you know what. And by the way, because if you've seen that clip on YouTube when the Oscar was given to Heath Ledger, when it came to talking about Robert Downey Jr. and his performance in Tropic Thunder, Cuba Gooding Jr., what he had to say about Downey's performance was pretty funny. So, and the mentioning of Iron Man, because, yeah, 2008 was a big year for good old Robert, because from this and the first installment of the MCU, Iron Man. Yeah, again, a big year for Robert Downey Jr. But yeah, so again, just when finally watching this movie, well, of course, I really enjoyed it. I got some good laughs and chuckles. Didn't see some certain things coming and such, and that I didn't really was aware about. And I'd like to also point out, before seeing the movie itself fully, I'd seen some clips and such, and most notably, clips of Robert Downey Jr. Even when I showed a couple of clips, just mainly one clip to each of my parents, yeah. My dad laughed at it, but my mom not so much. But anyways, yeah. Just overall, Tropic Thunder, I in my opinion, and I'm sure you guys would think so too, if I'm not wrong, am I not wrong when I say this? It's a comedy crazy comedy masterpiece, right? This kind of comedy movie, the way it is, just, yeah. And, one more thing to point out before I, read the description / the story. Tropic Thunder is another one of those movies that, the way that it's done, because this is a comedy, well, the way that this movie's done where you have actors playing actors who, play characters and such, like, best example, most of all, Galaxy Quest. See? Because, Tropic Thunder does the same kind of things like, say, Galaxy Quest, actors who find themselves in a legit, thing that, they're a part of, and, it's happening for real. You see what I mean? And Galaxy Quest is another good film that what it does, and just like Tropic Thunder, what both movies do. But I think you get my point. And coincidentally, both Tropic Thunder and Galaxy Quest being both live-action DreamWorks films. Anyways, overall, and to finish the first things I have to say about Tropic Thunder, again, if not a crazy, in a good way, a crazy comedy masterpiece from the genius mind of Ben Stiller and everybody who was involved in this movie. Okay, so with that out of the way, as always, for me, read the description / the story. While shooting a war film, the director attempts to liven up proceedings by dropping the principal actors into the middle of a real jungle, claiming he is going to capture their performance with hidden cameras. The hapless group, including drug addict comedy star Jeff Portnoy, I think I'm pronouncing his last name right, and po-faced method man Kirk Lazarus, are completely unaware when a series of unfortunate events leads them into the middle of a real war zone. Alright, so, with that out of the way, getting into the film itself, and this I was not aware of. The way that this movie opens is very crazy. I mean, this is not the first time I and some of you have seen a movie that would open up with something random, you know what I mean? Even if it's in a comedy film. But my point being is that, the way that this movie opens, we first get a rap song of booty, this beverage drink and such, booty sweat, and in this rap song, I like pee, well, I can't really say it, but I think if you've seen the movie, but it's crazy. But then after that, we then come to some trailers. The first of the 3 trailers for movies, coming straight from Universal Pictures, which being a movie, Scorcher, if I'm pronouncing that right, and coming in the winter of 2008, Global Tomorrow. And then the second trailer we get, coming straight from New Cinema Line, The Fatties, Farts 2. And it's basically a parody of The Nutty Professor, specifically the Eddie Murphy version, where, you have, what's-him-face, who his name in the description / the story, Jeff Portnoy, playing all these fat characters. Again, just like Eddie Murphy's The Nutty Professor, where we see the professor's entire family played by Eddie Murphy. So, And then the third and final trailer coming from Fox Searchlight Pictures called Satan's Ally. And, Kirk Lazarus, who stars in this movie, 5-time Academy Award-winning Australian actor, Kirk Lazarus, I should say, starring alongside with, and he actually plays himself, and, even though he's uncredited, we know who it is that cameos in this movie at the start, in one of these 3 trailers, in Satan's Alley, Spider-Man himself, Tobey Maguire. And by the way, because fun fact, Downey and Maguire, they were in another film previously before this. I'm sure some of you would know, but yeah. But it's pretty funny because basically in this trailer for Satan's Alley, well, basically the characters that Kirk and Maguire play, and, you know, in this trailer, they play gay monks, you know, and Father, I've been a bad, bad boy. God. And after those trailers play, we finally get to the movie, and with the opening logo, DreamWorks, and from there on, just, yeah. And then this opening quote, because, well, Tropic Thunder, the titled movie, actually, because in the movie itself, these group of actors, they're filming this movie called Tropic Thunder, which is based off of a book. And, well, because the opening to Tropic Thunder, after the DreamWorks logo shows a text, which is narrated by a very familiar voice and who we would see later on. And I'll go ahead and read it, yeah. In the winter of 1969, an elite force of the U.S. Army was sent on a top-secret assignment in Southeast Vietnam. Yeah. The objective, rescue Sergeant Four-Leaf Tabag from a heavily guarded NVA prison camp. The mission was considered to be near suicide. Of the 10 men sent, 4 returned. Of those 4, 3 wrote books about what happened. Of those 3, 2 were published. And of those 2, only 1 got a movie deal. This is the story of the men who attempted to make that movie. So yes, and thus, we cut to, well, a war happening. And, yeah, we see our main characters, who are the soldiers and such. And, yeah, from, say, yeah, because Hot LZ, and there's also, well, yeah, but they're all named Hot LZ, apparently. Okay, but yeah. And I don't think we really know their characters' names in this, but anyways. But yeah, a legit war's happening, and yeah, just explosions going off, gunfiring, a chopper, and some of these characters who are being killed, and they're very wounded, like guts spewing, and one who's trying to make it back to them, and, you know, another soldier coming to him to save him, and he lost his arms, literally, and them trying to escape, and, well, because, basically, because this one soldier saying to the other, you know, I loved you as like a brother, I've considered you a brother, and the other soldier, this black soldier, just whimpering and snot coming, but, we then see that, yeah, because this is a movie set out, you know, somewhere in an actual location and such, and yeah, the introduction of our actors. Well, we have Tug Speedman being played by Ben Stiller. We have Al Pacino, literally, that's his name, Al Pacino, because there's a P and A with A-L, and Chino is spelled a bit differently, but yeah. Being played by Brandon T. Jackson, and I know him, of course. I've seen him in a couple of other movies. And there's also Jeff Portnoy, as mentioned earlier, played by good old Jack Black, and Kirk Lazarus, being played by none other than the one and only Robert Downey Jr. Yes, and Kirk Lazarus. To go ahead and bring this up already, because, yeah, we can tell right away because, yeah, Kirk Lazarus, again, this 5-time winning Academy Award winning Australian actor, he is portraying a black man who is who's a soldier in this war movie, which being Tropic Thunder. Yeah, and, you know, the whole thing of Robert Downey Jr. and his performance, not legitimately playing a black person, he's playing, you know, someone who is made up to look like a black person, but you get the idea. Yeah, and I've also heard where Ben Stiller, he refuses to apologize for this, and, well, of course, most notably Robert Downey Jr. I can understand that. Besides, not everybody. I think for a lot of people, they understand the sense and feeling of this comedy film, and, well, everybody loves Robert Downey Jr. He's so good, and what he brought to this performance, and what the story and the movie had to offer, and with his character. You see what I mean? Just, and bear with me with how I try to put at it, but anyways. But yeah. And the director of Tropic Thunder, Damien Cockburn, this British director who's in charge of directing this movie, and Damien being played by fellow Night at the Museum co-star with Ben Stiller, Stephen Coogan. Yep. Stephen Coogan. How can you not love Stephen Coogan and what he brings to his performance as Damien for a little while in this movie until I get there. He's great, and things are not looking good while working on this movie, especially, when, again, Kirk, to Tug, Kirk was not going along with the script. He improvised the emotion and such, basically. And then we also, the other characters, because there's also Cody. He's a Vietnam crew member. He's basically responsible for the explosions, the practical explosion effects and such, being played by good old Danny McBride. And Danny McBride, I would know him best for being in 2009's Land of the Lost, but more than that, and I know I've seen him in more than just, say, Land of the Lost and now this, okay? He's a great guy, great actor. And you know what? He was hilarious in this, too. And apparently, because they were waiting for a signal or something, because jets were supposed to come in and explosions were supposed to be set off, but because Tug was wanting them to cut, but Damien refused to do so, keep rolling, but eventually, they did, and poor, Port, because he couldn't hold on to, one of the legs of the chopper, Jeff Portnoy, sorry, Port for short, but, Kirk had to take a wee at one of the bathroom stalls, and to put it this, because, apparently, Damien, because he's kind of losing his temper, and, Cody takes that as a sign that that's the signal to, with the jets coming in and the explosions, and that's what happens. And this makes its way on the news, because, we have a few cameos that we get right here, and when this breaks on the news of what had just happened on the set of Tropic Thunder, Mariah Manonos, however you pronounce her name, a really good, news anchor and such, news reporter and such. She plays herself from Access Hollywood, talking about what just happened on the set of Tropic Thunder, and things are not looking good for the movie, and it has a deadline, and, 1 month ahead, or something like that, And we get more information and background on our main stars from Kirk Lazarus, Jeff Portnoy, and most notably Tug Speedman. Well, Kirk Lazarus, because what we know of Kirk Lazarus, again, he's a 5-time Academy Award-winning Australian actor, and some of his public behavior, kind of not good, and we also get some information on his surgery for his performance in Tropic Thunder. Pigmentation, that's what he got. Changing his skin color to portray a black soldier in Tropic Thunder. And also because, to go ahead and mention this, because the hair and, the goatee and stuff like that, and eye contacts, that's all fake, and the eye contacts, If you got a good look at his eyes in the trailer for Satan's Alley, those are his actual color eyes. But for him playing, the soldier, the black soldier in this, yeah, those are fake contacts. Yeah, those are contacts. And Jeff Portnoy, well, his public behavior, bad as well. And, yeah, because him being a drug addict, and he was arrested at one point. And especially, like, after the premiere of, the film that he was in, the sequel and such. And as for Tug Speedman, well, boy is he a handful, and still acting childish, and not to mention that he would be in a movie where, God, that would basically be considered the worst movie that Tug would ever make. And, well, even when they mentioned some of the other films that he had done previously, but, yeah, oh, gosh, like, yeah, Simple Jack, this hillbilly and such, living on a farm, stupid kid, and, we even get a cameo by, Ben Stiller's wife, who, yeah, because another cameo we get where, yeah, Christine Taylor, she plays Rebecca. Presumably, she's Simple Jack's love interest. Yeah, but that's nice to see, and sometimes, yeah, because in some films that Ben Stiller would do, yeah, featuring his wife, like, rather like having a big starring role or something, or making a cameo, like most notably how she did have a big part in the Dodgeball movie, which, I thought was pretty good, and if you want to go check out my review on that. But yeah, again, Simple Jack being so terrible, bashed by critics, and there's one moment where we see a clip of Tug being interviewed by Tyra Banks herself, mentioning and telling him about, him being childish and such, and, someone close to him saying to him, "One more flop, it's over," and his response, "Someone was close to me?" And then at one point, Tug gets a phone call from his agent, yeah, from Peck's office, which being Rick Peck. And basically, Tug is Peck's client, and Rick Peck being played by good old Matthew McConaughey. All right. I had to, because that's his catchphrase, and why not? But anyways. Yeah, so Rick Peck calling up to Tug, asking, like, how the movie's going, and also mentioning, like, how the adoption is going, because Tug was planning on adopting a child of his own, but that's not going so well. Even Rick himself, because he adopted a kid as well, but it's a slightly older boy. Yeah. And also the mentioning of TiVo, and TiVo basically being a part and used by someone who we would see just a little later on after the phone call between Rick and Tug, yeah. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey, how can you not love Matthew McConaughey, and what he brings to his performance as Rick Peck in this movie, just really good. But yeah, then a little later, because when we come back to Damien, well, because he walks in and, basically on a call meeting with the guy who has financed the movie Tropic Thunder, and that being Les Grossman. Yeah, said that right. And Les Grossman, he's basically, to best describe him, he's this rich asshole, pretty much. Pardon my French, but it's true. And again, he invests in this movie and, making it happen and being in production and such. And, he's getting unpleased with how, the movie's not going so well. And Les Grossman, and I tell you, because Les Grossman's appearance in this, he doesn't have that much hair. He has the same kind of bald head style like Patrick Stewart in Star Trek. There's a name to it. Even I asked my mom on that, and she knows, but she can't place it. I'm sure some of you can. Let me know in the comment section, but you know. And he has a bit of weight on him, and you know, wearing a necklace, you know, dollar symbol, just yeah. Les Crosman, to now mention him, being played by Ethan Hunt himself, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. Oh, he was good in this. He was so good. And, you know, I mean, I wouldn't consider Les Grossman a bad guy. Not really. He's just a jerk. Just a rich jerk, and, you know, how Tropic Thunder not going so well for him and such, and from his point of view, and just, yeah, but... yeah, him getting pissed off towards Damien and such, and telling someone to punch him, and just, yeah. And then at one point, someone intervenes and recommends that the actors who are struggling to cooperate and such, they should be sent out to do the real legit thing. And whom that is that recommends this is the author of the Tropic Thunder book, and who we heard his voice, the narrator, at the start, and as I read, Four Leaf Tabak. I think I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And he's a Vietnam crew member and such, yeah. Being played by the one and only Nick Nolte. Yeah, Nick Nolte. He's done so many great movies, and most notably, I Have Spoken. If you know, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so again, he interrupts and recommends to Les Crosman about, you know, sending the actors out to be in a legit thing and such, but Les Crosman tells Four Leaf to just shut the F up, and, you know, I'm in charge. This man, Tom Cruise, and his character with such a foul mouth at times, I tell ya. But yeah, again, things still not looking good for everybody on the Tropic Thunder set. And at one point, and after like, and I believe, yeah, because there is an extended cut to this, yeah. And there was like a dance party going on, and the more that we get with our main cast members of Tropic Thunder interacting with the director, and well, at one point, Damien is out on a beach site, and you know, sees Four Leaf out, like, on the beach in a tent, because apparently he can't do beds in a hotel room. They give him nightmares. Well, I'm sure he has his reasonings, but yeah, anyways. So again, Four Leaf suggesting to Damien that they should do this. They should send those actors out in a legit part of the jungle, and basically, Damien, and when he starts to slowly but surely go along with this, he'll film the movie in guerrilla style. And if you know that term, yeah. So eventually, yeah, they decide and agree that that's what they will do. And the next day, on a chopper, our main cast of actors from Kirk, Jeff, Tug, and Al Pacino, and also almost forgot to mention him. He's another one of the main cast members. Kevin Sandusky, I think I'm saying that the last name right, being played by Hiccup himself, Jay Barchel. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Again, as I just said, the voice of Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, him. And yeah, he too, because he's such a great actor, and sometimes playing a dork, you know, in, you know, like, because, you know, best example, How to Train Your Dragon. And also, if anybody remembers this, the live-action Disney film, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's another good example. Yeah. And what he brings to his performance as Kevin, just really good. And by the way, Kevin wears glasses. But yeah. So, again, from Kirk, Jeff, Kevin, Al Pacino, and Tug, and along with the director, Damien, and Leaf tagging along, as well as the guy in charge of the practical explosions, Cody. They all are in a chopper, and the actors are given specific instructions on what's to happen and when they land down. And basically, in the chopper, only Four Leaf and Cody, they're the only two left on the chopper, and they basically leave all of the actors, including the director, behind. And basically, Damien tells them that they're, what they're specifically going to do, and in the jungle, and how they're going to film this movie. Cameras have been placed around the jungle and such to capture their performance and so on, and, well, they seem to go along with this okay, I guess. Damien, the last thing he says is, let's make this movie, and yeah. But Damien notices something down below, and boom, he freaking gets destroyed. He explodes. He's freaking dead. What the crap just happened? And even when because yeah, definitely Tropic Thunder is one of those movies that's very popular where those on YouTube have done reactions to this movie. And yeah, and seeing some of their reactions to Damien's death, besides Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, like that being another one that's a pretty good one, just, yeah, that was out of nowhere. He explodes. How? And some of them think that, well, even most notably Tug, think that it's a bit, like, probably Damien's just goofing around and such, calling out for Damien, but there's no sign of him. However, somewhere a little deep in the jungle, not far from them, we see a couple of Asian soldiers and such who happen to have heard this explosion, and then at one point they hear the voices of our actors, and even the Asian soldiers, the troops and such, they think that they're legit, like, American soldiers. And coming back to Four Leaf and Cody, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, because, well, no, because they weren't really aware of what the heck just happened to Damien, even when Cody tried to radio Damien in, walkie-talkie, but nothing really. There was no response. And Tug, well, he thinks this is part of the movie, and, well, for them going to make this movie. Even when Tug notices the head of Damien, oh my god, and thinks that it's just a fake head, and with, special kind of, like, I don't know, gel or something, just goo, and he's actually, like, licking some, oh my god. Like, again, Tug being stupid and being childish, like, but especially and slowly but surely from Kirk and the others, they discover that, yeah, because especially for Tug, he's getting out of hand with this, and, well, for Tug, he's just rolling along with this, following the script and what they need to specifically do out in the jungle. And, well, even at one point, the Asian soldiers and such, they pop out, technically. Well, they fire off their guns and such, and, well, Tug and the others, they do the same thing, and Tug thinking that it's part of the movie, but it's not. Little does he know, stupidly. But, yeah, and to speed things up, because thankfully they didn't get killed, and they technically fall back, even when an explosion does go off, and Cody, he unleashes a bomb, because at one point, Tug threw, a grenade, and when the grenade was thrown at the Asians, well, that's when Cody set off the bomb that was taped to a tree, and, well, Tug thought that was the grenade, and, god. But, yeah, eventually, because, yeah, they survive from the first attack. Little did they know it was legit, especially Tug, and they proceed on. And basically, and according to Damien, they have to go to a specific location, the Dang River, if I'm saying that right, yeah. That's where they have to go, and, follow the script and what they need to specifically do, and again, Tropic Thunder now being filmed in guerrilla style, getting their practical reactions to what they're doing out in the middle of the jungle, just, yeah. But, yeah. And the more, and as they're going through the jungle, and the lines and scenes that we get of these actors, yeah, just hilarious. The five actors. And the more we get of Robert Downey Jr. as Kirk, who almost throughout the entire film, he stays in character as a black soldier, and his interactions with the others, and most notably Tug. And one sequence where they get into the subject about and pardon my French, but it's true, retards. And, well, basically this is being pointed at specifically to Tug, and other mentionings of retards like Dustin Hoffman in one movie, and Forrest Gump in Forrest Gump, that sequence, pretty hilarious, but, because with what Kirk says, and this is directed at Tug, yeah, and Tug basically acting like a completely, fully retard, so... But anyways, and other moments where, Tug, for a while, is wielding the map and where they need to specifically go. He thinks that they're going in the right direction of this river location they're supposed to go. And moments with Jeff, Jeff at times being over the top and a bit out of hand, and especially since he's a drug addict and such, and he's trying to take some and pretending to Kevin that he's eating jelly beans, and he's refusing to share the jelly beans, but it's not really. And then even at one point, because a bat stole his jelly beans, and he did eventually snatch the bat, and just, oh my god, he was murdering the bat, like just munching on him and such. Oh my gosh, Jeff is really out of hand by that point. And also, there's a moment where the four actors, and most notably Kirk, they're starting to see this getting out of hand, and with Tug, that this has gone out of hand with doing this movie. And even at one point, Tug asks Kevin to be by his side and to help out and such. But yeah, and to speed things up, it just gets to the point where they've had enough with Tug and what he's doing. And, well, also, they went the wrong opposite direction. They were supposed to go north, they went the opposite and such, to the specific river location they were supposed to go. And by this point, nobody's going to follow Tug. Tug is just going to go on off his own to do this movie. Rather if anybody sticks with him or if it's just him, to follow the script and do this movie. Whether if he likes it or not, well, and if they don't join him. You get the point. So, yeah. Tug is abandoned. He goes off on his own, while the others, they try to make their way back to the hotel and so on. And a little montage where, yeah, because, from Tug and the other four actors, where they are in the jungle, even for Tug, because, there's one moment where he's, interacting with a mantis. The mantis, flied in his face a little and flew off. And more moments that we get from Kirk and the others, especially some moments that we get with Kirk and Al Pacino. And even how Al Pacino feels towards Kirk, betraying a black person, just, pretty hilarious. Even when Kirk at one point makes a quote from something, and Al Pacino's just like, what? What are you doing? Yeah, because, well, even Al Pacino, kind of insulted Kirk a little, because the mentioning of the Crocodile Dundee star, and that man's a national treasure, as Kirk says. I would agree, because, yeah, Crocodile Dundee, if anybody has seen those movies, well, mainly the first one, because the first one's obviously good, and What's-Him-Face, the starring actor and such, yeah, just really good at it. But anyways, so again, Kirk making this, this speech and such, this quote, which comes straight according to... And this is the clip I showed to each of my parents, and only my dad laughed at this, because, yeah, Kirk making this speech, 400 years ago, stuff like that, and when he finishes, Al Pacino is like, that's from the Jeffersons theme song. If anybody knows that reference, my dad did especially, so, yeah, anybody who's watched the Jeffersons, but anyways, and coming back to Tug, because the more that happens to him, and because he's alone out in the jungle by this point, and when at one point that evening, a thunderstorm hits in the jungle, and he's, in a special, tent or something, and he's watching an episode from Star Trek, the original series, Arena, right when, we see Kirk and the Gorn fighting. Well, that's interrupted when he hears some wrestling, in the bushes and leaves and such, and we see, and we don't get a good look at it, but we see the teeth It's a wild animal that's attacking Tug, but very brave of him. He actually, defends himself, wrestling with the animal and killing it. But when he gets a good look at that animal, well, technically it wasn't a wild animal, It's a panda. He killed a panda, and that's his favorite animal, and he worked with the panda and posed with the panda. How it's described in the movie, and just, shouting in the air, no! Just, yeah, what has he done? Hard to believe that he killed a panda. But not long after that, and by the next day, he used the panda's head and such as like a hat, skinning the panda and wearing that part of the panda's face and such as a hat, God, it's crazy. And surprisingly, Tug managed to call up his agent, Peck, and basically, it's difficult for Peck to understand what's going on. Even when this is a private conversation between him and Tug, even like closing a window or something so his assistant doesn't hear in on this conversation. And how did I not recognize her when I was watching the movie? That baffles me. Peck's assistant, who only has a very quick silent appearance, Yvette Nicole Brown, a.k.a. Helen in Drake and Josh. But she's done more than that, but that's obviously what she's most known for. Yeah, a very sweet, nice lady, and man, some of her acting that she's done, like playing some very intenseful, characters like you don't want to mess with, most notably Helen. Yeah. But again, in real life, she's just such a sweet, nice lady, yeah. And she's so good at whoever she plays, even if it's like a very intenseful character and such like Helen. But anyways, so yeah, Rick finding it difficult to understand what Tug is specifically saying on the line, because when Tug is trying to say to Peck that he killed a panda, but Peck is not understanding it, like thinking like he killed Amanda or something, just like dating someone, just God. And to make things worse for Tug, well, those Asian soldiers and such out in the middle of the jungle, they locate and find and capture Tug. And he's brought to this specific location, and we find out that these group of Asians and such, they're a part of this group called the Flaming Dragon. And basically, what we learned from the Flaming Dragon is that they sell some drugs, heroin and stuff like that. Yeah. And boy, because the leader and whom is in charge of the Flaming Dragon, even I didn't see it coming, technically. I'm sure anybody wouldn't either, but anyways. So yeah. And coming back to the four actors who, they proceeded on without Tug, yeah. Because eventually, yeah, because they find out what's happening with Tug, and still, the conversations that they would have at times with one another, and even like, even for Jeff, he's still he's still spiraling out of control, trying to find something to eat and drink, even when he comes face to face with a bowl, wanting to eat it very grossly and, man, brutally, God, what he says. But of course that doesn't happen, and actually the bowl tags along with them, so yeah. I'm calling it a bowl, I'm sure there's a specific name to it, but, anyways. So yeah, again, coming back to Tug, but actually, before that, because coming back to Four Leave and Cody, because what was going on with them? They weren't getting any contact and such from the five actors and such, nor from Damien, who had, of course, died, being blown up, literally. Well, they go back to the location where they dropped them off, and they can see that, yeah, that Damien got killed from an explosion. Apparently, it wasn't an explosion or something from Cody, I think. It was a mining bomb. Obviously coming from the Flaming Dragon, presumably. Yeah. And apparently, Cody slowly but surely realizes something that was not known about Four Leave. You know how we've seen this, that he has these hooks and such, like presumably he probably lost his arms, But no, because apparently he lied about that. He has arms, because Cody was getting a bit aggravated with Four Leave at one point, even because when Cody, he looked up to Four Leave and such, and read his book, and what he finds out, slowly but surely, about Four Leave, what he's really like, yeah. And yeah, because at one point, Four Leave and Cody, they are captured by members of Flaming Dragon, and they're taken to their location. And the more that Cody finds out about Four Leave, that he wasn't actually a part of the war, he was a Patreon, and, you know, he wrote the book, basically, as a tribute. Well, that's nice still, but that was not right of Four Leave to lie and such, and to, you know, break Cody's heart when Cody looked up to him. But, yeah, from what I could tell, yeah, everything's patched up later on and such, you know, but anyways. And coming back to Tug, and here's the thing, because when Tug got captured, but he thinks it's still a part of the movie. And even when he sees a security camera, he thinks it's one of those cameras that was installed in the jungle for this movie, but it's not. God. Again, it shows how stupid he is, and that other word that they say, I've already said it before, I'm good, you know. Yeah. And when Tug meets the leader, and who is in charge of the Flaming Dragon, not who you would expect at all, Tran. Yeah, that's the name of him. From the Flaming Dragon compound. He's the leader and in charge of Flaming Dragon. And Tran is a young boy. And Tran being played by a young Brandon Suhu. I'm pretty sure I did pronounce that right. And to name some of the other members of the Flaming Dragon, and nice to see, because how it is on the IMDb page, and as I always have IMDb up, how the characters are credited, and you know who is a part of this and so on so. So, the members of the Flaming Dragon compound, there's Reggie Lee, he plays Beyond. There's Trio Tran, yeah, I think I'm saying the first name right. He plays True. There's also Half Squats 1 and 2, played by J. Thomas Chon and Jacob Chon. I'm sure, yeah, they're in relation, of course. That's pretty much it on, you know, whom, you know, is a part of, who's credited for being a part of the Flaming Dragon compound. And to name some of the other cast members, as I sometimes do, I always try to do, a good chunk of times. Oh, yes, and I can't forget to mention him too, because him being a studio executive and working alongside with Les Crosman, studio executive Rob Saloum, if I'm pronouncing that right, being played by Bill Hader. Yep, Bill Hader being in this movie. Also, some of the other Vietnam crew members. There's Damien's assistant being played by Valerie Azaline. There's camera person played by Matt Levin. First assistant director played by David Pressman. Script supervisor being played by Amy Stiller. And special effects assistant played by Depsy Silva. Yeah. And there's also speed assistant, Vietnam crew member, played by Jeff Wiedemann, if I'm saying that right. Two other speedman assistants, played by Nadine Ellis and Rachel Avery, yeah. And Alpha's Pose, if I'm pronouncing that right, two of them being played by Daryl Farmer and Rod Tate. Yeah, I already named those who cameoed earlier. There's also Speedman's chef, played by Jel Galiza, and and some of the others, especially those that appear very later on in the movie at the very end until I mention them. More cameos that we get, but back to where I was in the movie, because, again, Tug coming face to face with Tran, and Tran basically, like, at one point kicking him in the balls and then, like, whipping him a little. But when Tug tells him, please don't kill me, or however he says, and Tran tells him to say what he said, but how he said it. Please do. He recognizes Tug. He recognizes who he is from that stupid movie he made. Yeah. From the Jack movie, because that's where he recognizes Tug. Simple Jack, Flaming Dragon. Everybody in Flaming Dragon knows who he is from the movie Simple Jack. The only movie that they got their hands on, that they acquired, a VHS tape of it. Yeah, especially at that point and when the movie came out, VHSs were starting to go extinct, but yeah. But, yeah, well, obviously Simple Jack, it came out, like, what? A year or so before, you know, Tug found himself working on Tropic Thunder, but anyways, obviously. So, yeah, everything seems to settle down, kind of. They start to respect, technically, and appreciate Tug more, and they want him to perform Simple Jack in a re-edition of the film for a play. But then at one point, Rick Peck calls up Tug on the phone. Well, but by that point, Flaming Dragon has possession of his phone, and when Rick went to get some help, if he could, from Les Crosman, and golly, what Les Crosman does when he interacts with Flaming Dragon on the phone, he lets them have it with the foul language that he has and what he says to the Flaming Dragon. And even when Flaming Dragon threatened them to give them $100 million or something, if not, then Tug dies. But Les Crosman, he wasn't having any of it. And again, when, I think, yeah, twice, you know, calling them up on the phone, yeah, just the foul language and just, golly, that he would say to Flaming Dragon. And also, to point this out too, and best said by Les Crosman, they are a group of terrorists, Flaming Dragon. And Les Crosman establishing very later on that they don't deal with terrorists. Understandable, and yeah, even his crew and such applauded him for that, you know, don't deal with terrorists. But yeah, basically, to go ahead and mention this, yeah, at a certain point, Les Crosman isn't really going to help. He's going to risk letting Tug die. But for Rick, well, he's shocked by this. He can't believe this, that Les is going to let the risk of Tug die. And also the mentioning of, you know, because of this G5 plane and such, this jet, and, you know, and also another mentioning of TVO and money and such, you know, and without Tug, and how it's established in the movie, and even when Les Crosman out of nowhere plays a song, you know, a victory dance or whatever, you know, if you know that song, you know, but yeah. But overall, just, yeah, it really shows that, again, pardon my French, but it's true, Les Crosman being a complete rich dickhead. Literally. But, yeah. And coming back to the four actors, Kirk, Al Pacino, Jeff, and Kevin, well, again, because at a certain point, they do discover that Tug is captured by the terrorists, Flaming Dragon, and they still have that bowl with him, and golly, Tug's still thinking that it's a part of the movie at first, but it's not, even when he becomes a part, and he does so, go along with this, he has to, you know, reenact Simple Jack, even wearing an elder's dentures and such. Oh my gosh, even they put powder on his face, just golly. The time that the four actors spent that evening, and they're trying to come up with a plan, and Kevin presumably has a plan. Even at one point, they tied up Jeff. If I remember correctly, because for him to man up. Yeah. But also, they discovered that Flaming Dragon, they sell drugs and heroin. And this intrigues Jeff. Well, we know why, of course. Stupid Jeff at first, you know. I don't know, because who's worse, Jeff or Tug? Why don't you guys decide on that? You have your opinions on who was the stupidest at first in this movie until they man up and they become much better after the events of what they got themselves into. All of them, but most notably for Jeff and Tug, each of them. But yeah, so again, the plans that they're trying to come up with and how they need to sneak into the compound of Flaming Dragon. From Kevin to Kirk, them trying to come up with ideas and such, eventually when they've got it down. But also, more random moments that we get, like you thought that them at one point tying up Jeff was okay, and he's got to man up and such. Well, we apparently find out that presumably Al Pacino is gay, okay, because he mentions someone by a guy name and just, yeah. Okay, I mean, didn't see this coming, and if it was really necessary, and even when he's trying to tell them that he likes, and what was in his rap song. Anyways. But, yeah, and to speed things up still, because, yeah, eventually, and by the next day, they start to go along with this idea and plan that they finally figure out and such, and, yeah, basically, what happens is, they will split up, some of them. Kirk, along with Jeff, they will go in, using the bowl. Jeff plays the bait, well, being tied up as this naked fat man and such, almost half-naked fat man, and Kirk pretending to be, an Asian person and such, in disguise, while Kevin and Al Pacino, they sneak in, they put mud on their face, in the river and so on, and everything's going pretty well at first, yeah, and thankfully, for Kevin and Al Pacino, they sneak in. Al Pacino, most notably, he locates and finds Cody and Four Leaf, and when they discover, of course, what Four Leaf is really like. And also, more on Cody, because I remember now, because Cody, he had been doing a lot of, practical effects or something in the movie business. He apparently almost blinded Jamie Lee Curtis on the set of Freaky Friday. How specifically? I don't know, but it's funny. It's still funny anyways. And Four Leaf trying to, turn the wheels on Cody, he almost, he almost blinded Jamie Lee Curtis to get the spotlight off of him. Just, God. And as for, Kirk and Jeff, the plan is still going well at first, but at a certain point, Tran, he starts to realize that, this farmer that Kirk is pretending to be, this farmer, is an American farmer, and thus the cover is blown, and Kirk, he unleashes the weapons, and everybody else does. And I'm pretty sure those weren't real bullets. Were they? Probably not. I mean, and how was the Flaming Dragon supposed to know from the start and up to here? And when they fire off the guns, and at one point, they have them on the ground. Yeah, they just, they have them on the ground and such, and it's going along pretty well. And them trying to, they found Cody and Four Leaf. Now, they've got to find, Tug. Yeah, because, man, by this point, Tug, he's started to really like living in the Flaming Dragon compound. Even finally, finally adopting a son of his own. Early on in the film, and after the rendition of Simple Jack, and when he was taking the makeup off, a young Asian boy came in, gave him a gift, and it was this sticked figure that was supposed to technically resemble an Oscar, because, yeah, that was mentioned early on, where some of the Flaming Dragon members felt that he should have won an Oscar for that, which he didn't, of course, nor did he get a nomination. We understand and know why, of course. That movie sucked hard. Tanked hard, I should say. But yeah, that was a sweet moment, until very later on, but yeah. But again, when eventually, because yeah, Kirk, he locates and finds Tug, but Tug, he's completely out of it. He has no intention of leaving. And when Kirk is trying to get Tug to snap out of it, but also, at one point we see Kevin and Jeff located some heroin. He's interested in getting the heroin, but Kevin trying to get Jeff to snap out of it and, telling him that people thought he was funny and so on. But according to Jeff, the only thing they laughed from him was his farts. And when two Flaming Dragon members, they come in almost about to fire upon them, well, Jeff let out a tiny fart. And they laugh, and this enrages Jeff, and he basically grabs some of the heroin in his clutches, stuck them in his face, and it knocked them out, temporarily. And when coming back to Kirk trying to get Tug to snap out of it, well, man, it just gets crazy where, Tug is actually turning the wheels on Kirk, where, who he really is. And, well, for Kirk, he finally snaps out of it. He finally no longer stays in character. This black soldier, he finally comes back and he knows who he is. He's Kirk Lazarus, taking off the fake wig, the mustache goatee, and taking off the eye contacts. Yeah, he's back to his old self and with his actual Australian accent. Yeah, Kirk is back, everyone. Nice to see. And, well, even Tug, he did snap out of it, and thanks to, well, Kirk, him snapping out of it, no longer being in character, and basically, and overall, and best said by Al Pacino, that, we all have issues, and no kidding, is how they are, just, their personalities. But, yeah, eventually, all is good now, and them trying to get the heck out of there, and also with the aid of Four Leave and Cody, they set up some explosions, bombs, and at the right moment, yeah, the explosions going off and that being bait for them to escape, all of them getting on this truck, but unfortunately, so much for the truck because, when early on, there was one moment where Jeff got into a rustling, a tangled situation with Tran, and yeah. Well, at one point, it seemed like Jeff took down Tran instantly. They fell down, and maybe that killed, Tran. But it didn't. Just knocked him out. When we see Tran again, well, he comes out with a rocket launcher, literally. And by shooting it and, well, causing the truck that they're escaping in to be destroyed, explode, thankfully they all survived that. But right at that moment, and for Tug, and like a ringing sound, because you would hear like a ringing sound like from an explosion and such, when you recuperate, that kind of thing. Well, just, and this is a callback to the start of the movie when they were some of them were pretending to be injured and wounded, but it's legitimately happening, legitimately, where Kevin is wounded some, Jeff, his buttocks most notably, and at that moment, Tug is where he really starts to man up instantly. And yeah, because this is legit, and thus them still making a run for it, and they're basically making their way back to the chopper that was, in the possession of the Flaming Dragon, because yeah, they, forcing Cody and Four Leave to pilot the chopper to their location and such. Yeah, but yeah, them getting back to the chopper, get to the chopper, to technically quote Predator. They kind of do, but no. And they cross a bridge, and actually, some bombs were placed on the bridge, and for it to be to explode. But at one point, when everybody's made their way, except for Tug, he's basically going to stay behind and deal with them, because, yeah, he's going to remain living with them, and not to mention that, he finally adopted a son. But that doesn't last very long, because the little boy that would temporarily be his adoptive son, he's like stabbing him with a tiny knife and such. Just yeah, and golly, Tug flinging him off of him and sending him down the river, where the bridge is, and we hear the little boy let out the Wilhelm scream, and it's the Wilhelm scream sped up, and it reminds me of how in the first Transformers movie, that tiny Decepticon disguised as a radio let out the Wilhelm scream, and it too was high pitched. So, yeah. But, yeah, eventually, yeah, the bombs are set off from the bridge, and, well, I mean, basically, and judging on how close the members of the Flaming Dragon were at, near the bridge, none of them die from the explosion. And thankfully for Tug, he makes a run for it. And Kirk, he wasn't going to leave Tug behind. And another callback to the opening of the movie where we hear, you know, this female singing voice. Oh, yeah, because, you know, Tug, you know, sacrificing himself kind of and waving his hands up in the air, just, you know, and, well, a moment that we get between Kirk and Tug, and finally, and well, because after so much that happened, Tug actually now considers Kirk like a brother to him. And speed things up because, yeah, they make their way to the chopper, and out of nowhere, literally, Rick Peck shows up. How did he make his way, you know, to the jungle? Just, well, he has his ways. I mean, he's a big time producer and such. So yeah, he made his way, and he has a packaged box of TVO. I have TVO, and well, he can see that Tran, who has another rocket launcher and such, is going to fire and destroy the chopper. But thankfully, Rick, he throws the packaged TVO, and, well, the package takes the explosion, and thankfully, everybody on the chopper, from Cody, Forleave, and all 5 actors, they survive, and Rick Peck just, yeah, and he makes a run for it. Thankfully, he made his way out of sight from the Flaming Dragon. And that's the last we see of Flaming Dragon. Like, I guess they had they were defeated technically, but nothing else to them, just, yeah. Anyways. And after that, well, the epilogue to this movie. We then come up to the Academy Awards / the Oscars, and we see that, surprisingly, Tug got nominated right next to Jon Voight, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Jason Bateman, Lance Bass, if I'm saying his last name right, and Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, they play as themselves, who are the nominees for best, you know, performance and such, you know. And Tug, he wins. Even Jon Voight, he got a bit upset, just, well, Jon Voight. Yeah. And, well, and nice to see that Kirk was up there presenting the award, and he was like, yes, you know, Tug Speedman, yeah. Tug did win, and as of now, rightfully so won, and now got the respect he deserved. And, well, after so much that happened, and with Tropic Thunder, you know, amazing. And seeing some of the other fellow Tropic Thunder cast members, from Al Pacino, Kevin, Jeff, they're happy for him and such, just, yeah, awesome. And we cut back, and one of the last scenes we get, we once again see Les Crosman and Bill Hader's character, Rob. And they seem appreciative that, you know, Tug did win and such, but still, Les Crosman still being a rich dickhead and such, yeah. And being kind of harsh on Rob, and, you know, someone else can do his job better than he can, and so on, just, yeah. And when Rob leaves the room, Les Crosman has a little victory dance to himself, you know, playing the song that plays at the end of the movie, and well, when the credits roll, yeah. And there was one moment where we do see Rick Peck one last time on the jet, the specific jet that, was mentioned early on, with his adoptive, son, who's older and such, yeah. Yeah, the credits were pretty funny, you know, and our cast of characters, you know, whom being in this movie, and, you know, and the last bit of dancing we get from Tom Cruise, just, yeah. What a funny way to end off this movie, right there, just, yeah. Just, what else do I gotta say? Seriously, because, yeah, Tropic Thunder, if I'm not wrong still, is a crazy, in a good way, crazy, hilarious comedy movie masterpiece without a doubt, from the genius mind of Ben Stiller, and, oh yeah, and also, Justin Theroux, you know, a buddy of Ben Stiller's, and if I remember correctly, yeah, they did both of them, they did the Zoolander films, but yeah. But overall, yeah. With Ben Stiller, Justin Theroux, Ethan Cohen, that's cool. Yeah, doing the story and screenplay for this movie, and most notably Ben Stiller being in charge, you know, from being one of the writers, producers, and most notably, one of the main stars and the director of this picture. Just, yeah, everybody involved in Tropic Thunder. Everything about this movie from beginning to end, really good, hilarious, just all at the same time, just, yeah. From the story, the cast of characters, the hilarious, unexpected moments, and a few emotional moments here and there. They were pretty good, too. You know, the hilarious, you know, violence, and just unexpected, gross-out violence, need I say. You know, crazy stuff going on here and there, the selection of songs, the music and score, the unexpected dialogue and hilarious moments that came from these, you know, talented cast of people. Just, yeah, and whom was in this? From Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., and to name some of the other ones that I didn't mention, like Jeff Kahn, he was in this too. He played Snooty Waiter at in the Thaddeus trailer, yeah. And also, Anthony Ruviera, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Again, you know me sometimes. He played Platoon Sergeant Shot in the Head. Yeah, so almost forgot to mention them. And also, Eric Wenzenered, if I'm saying that right too. He played a chopper pilot. But yeah, again, from Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jay Burchell, you know, the voice of Hiccup, Brendan T. Jackson, Steve Coogan, you know, with what we got of Stephen Coogan, not that much, unfortunately, but still, he was good. Danny McBride, Tom Cruise, Nick Nolte, everybody else that was a part of this, from being the main stars, cameoing, can't also forget to mention, you know, from, say, Bill Hader, Matthew McConaughey, need I go on, just, yeah. Just everything that was brought to Tropic Thunder is amazing, unexpected. One of those movies that, yeah, it's definitely worth a watch, and you're just mind blown by this, and you're fascinated by it, and, you know, overall, you would come to really enjoy this. Definitely. And I'm giving Tropic Thunder, well, what the heck, 10 out of 10 stars. Yes, 10 out of 10 stars for Tropic Thunder. And what about you guys? What did you think of Tropic Thunder itself? Were you mind blown the first time you watched this from beginning to end? Did you laugh your butt off on everything that happened in this movie? Whom starred in this film? Who were some of your favorites? And, you know, some of you, like, you know, how you feel towards, like, say, Robert Downey Jr. and his performance, but come on, you know, this is Robert Downey Jr. we're talking about. But, you know, again, from everybody else who starred in this and those who cameoed, didn't have huge parts, but still, they were enjoyable. Some of your favorite moments, funny moments, some, you know, few emotional moments. Again, there were some that were in this movie, and pretty good. And some moments where you were just like, holy cow, just what the crap, you know? Yeah, just overall, what do you think of Tropic Thunder itself, and with what I've had to say about the film, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Tropic Thunder. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. And, well, continuing on, of course, me reviewing some of my all-time favorite films. Stay tuned because one of the next films that I'll be reviewing, which being one of my other favorite films, to best describe it, well, let's just say that it's a really good film remake directed by the Coen brothers. And it features the talents of Bridges, Steinfeld, and Damon. Yeah, you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Again, stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.